editions of VTV News. Chinese Party state leader begins state visit to Vietnam. Vietnam, Cambodia promote investment and trade cooperation. And later on in our world news, COP28 hopes to reach consensus on future of fossil fuels.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello there, this is VTV News coming live to you from Hanoi. I'm Lina Pham with the latest news update. General Secretary of the Communist Party of China's Central Committee and President of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, and his spouse arrived in Hanoi on Tuesday, starting their two-day state visit to Vietnam. The visit is made at the invitation of General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam's Central Committee, Nguyễn Phú Trọng, and his spouse, and State President of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, Võ Văn Thưởng, and his spouse.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh welcomed Party General Secretary and President Xi Jinping, his spouse, and the Chinese high-level delegation at Hanoi Bay International Airport. Later, General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong and his wife chaired a solemn welcoming ceremony for General Secretary and President Xi Jinping and his spouse. The Vietnamese party leader emphasized that the third visit to Vietnam by General Secretary and President Xi Jinping demonstrates special affection of the Chinese General Secretary and President for the traditional friendship, the current stature of relations and the good prospects of relations between the two countries. He believed that the visit is a new historical milestone, bringing relations between the two parties and countries to new heights. The party and state of Vietnam held the most solemn welcoming ceremonies for General Secretary and President Xi Jinping with 21-gun salute. General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong affirmed that Vietnam considers developing relations with China a top priority and a strategic choice. Vietnam supports China's strong development, making increasingly important contributions to the cause of peace and progress of mankind. He appreciated the support of the Chinese people to the cause of revolutionary, socialism building, and national development of Vietnam. The Chinese leader affirmed that the party, state, and people of China highly value relations with Vietnam, considering Vietnam a priority in its neighboring foreign policy. He also affirmed that China steadfastly supports Vietnam's cause of socialism building, prosperous development, and creating a happy life for its citizens. At the talks, the two sides agreed to build a China-Vietnam community with a shared future, striving for the happiness of the two peoples, peace and progress of humanity. They also agreed to continuously strengthen political trust and increase exchanges between senior leaders of the two parties and countries through diverse and flexible forms, and promote the strategic guiding role party relations in the overall bilateral relationship. The two sides agreed to strengthen cooperation in defense and security, economy, trade and investment, promote education on traditional relations between the two parties and the two countries, foster the building of a stronger social foundation for bilateral relations, and strengthen closer multilateral coordination. Regarding maritime issues, the two leaders emphasized the need to better control and actively resolve disagreements at sea to maintain peace and stability in the East Sea and the region. General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong suggested both sides implementing high-level common awareness, respecting each other's legitimate interests, and resolving disputes by peaceful measures, in accordance with international laws. After the high-level talks, the two leaders viewed the 36 cooperation agreements signed between the two countries in 4 areas of politics and foreign affairs, security and defense, government, ministry and agency levels, and local cooperation.
Immediately after the talks, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng invited his Chinese counterpart to a tea party. This is one of very special reception ceremonies that shows the friendship between the two leaders. For two countries, Vietnam and China, inviting a guest to drink tea is also a way to show respect and hospitality. It is also an opportunity to exchange sincere and frank things with each other. 3 kinds of tea that Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng invited Party General Secretary and President of China Xi Jinping to enjoy includes lotus tea from Hanoi, oolong tea from Mộc Châu Plateau, and white tea from ancient Tây Côn Lĩnh Mountain in Hà Giang Province. The 2 leaders have many times enjoyed famous teas of Vietnam and China together. Within the framework of the state visit to Vietnam by Party General Secretary President of China Xi Jinping, Lady Ngô Thị Mận, the spouse of Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng, and Professor Phie Yuan, the spouse of Chinese Party General Secretary President Xi Jinping, visited the Vietnamese Women's Museum on Tuesday. At the Vietnamese Women's Museum, the 2 ladies watched documents and artifacts that honor the beauty of Vietnamese women, while also reflecting the development changes in the role, status, and life of women in society over time. Professor Phie Yuan sincerely thanked Lady Ngô Thị Mận for visiting the museum, helping her better understand the diligence and courage of Vietnamese women. The 2 ladies also met and interacted with top education leaders who are women with the goal of promoting education. Professor Phie Yuan is the World Health Organization Goodwill Ambassador for Tuberculosis and HIV/AIDS Prevention and UNESCO Special Ambassador for the Education of Women and Girls. In a close and sincere atmosphere, the 2 ladies enjoyed tea and watched a performance of áo dài and Vietnamese traditional musical instruments. Moving on to other news, on Tuesday morning, State President Võ Văn Thưởng met with a delegation of exemplary and prestigious people attending the Praise and Honor Prestigious People Among Ethnic Communities Nationwide by 2023 event. State President Võ Văn Thưởng hoped that village elders, village heads, and reputable people in the ethnic community would continue to promote their role to unite the community and strengthen the great national unity, pay attention to preserving unique cultural features, and participate in supervising the implementation of ethnic group policies. The state president also noted that the authorities and ethnic groups, whether in the uplands or lowlands, need to pay attention to their children's education and work together to maintain political stability, order and security, and prevent bad habits and social evils from penetrating the village, community, and nation. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and his Cambodian counterpart Samdech Moha Bovo Thipadehun Manet attended the Vietnam-Cambodia Investment and Trade Promotion Forum on Tuesday within the framework of the latest official visit to Vietnam. More to follow.
Speaking at the forum, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh emphasized that Vietnam-Cambodia relations have had several breakthroughs in recent times. However, ample room remains for the 2 countries to boost their economic and trade ties. The leaders suggested businesses and the governments of the 2 countries strengthen connectivity and complementarity between the 2 economies, focusing on institutions, finance, transport infrastructure, electricity, telecommunications, and tourism. He also called the 2 countries for supporting each other in policy development and investment and business environment improvement, and fostering cooperation in digital transformation, circular economy, science and technology, and innovation.
I hope enterprises of the 2 countries will continue investing and promoting trade and economic development of the 2 countries. This can contribute to strengthening and consolidating bilateral good traditional friendship relations, improving people's lives, and building an independent and self-reliant economy associated with international integration. This also helps the 2 countries grow stronger and win together.
Vietnam is the first ASEAN country I visited after taking office as the Prime Minister. I believe that, after this visit, the cooperative relationship between the 2 countries will develop further. I hope Vietnamese businesses to invest more in Cambodia, especially in modern agriculture, food processing, digital technology, finance, and car manufacturing.
The two prime ministers emphasized that the two governments are committed to always listening, solving difficulties, and creating the most favorable conditions for businesses from the two countries. At the forum, they witnessed the handover of investment licenses and cooperation documents, covering aviation, banking, and trade.
Foreign direct investment, or FDI capital, into Vietnam continues to grow, with a total amount of $28.85 billion over the past 11 months, an increase of 14.8% year-on-year. This has been the highest increase of FDI inflows since the beginning of the year.
A Swedish business is investing $154 million into a project of automotive safety products such as airbags and seatbelts on this 9-hectare land.
Industrial park in north part of Vietnam, in 8 provinces, 25 industrial park. Then finally we shortlist to 4 industrial park.
Quang Ninh is the leading province in attracting FDI. It has attracted over $3.1 billion, more than 3 times higher than the yearly plan, thanks to the available land fund and clear local investment attraction plans.
As the Prime Minister approved our provincial planning early, we are able to implement clear and methodical plans. The occupancy rate of the province's 23 industrial parks is still limited, so we have tried to address obstacles for investors.
Notably, 87% of the total newly registered capital has been poured into manufacturing and processing. More global production chains are choosing Vietnam as a major production center. This is a positive signal.
Infrastructure investment, administrative procedure reform, and legal and policy improvements have been effective. This helps increase Vietnam's investment environment attractiveness to foreign investors.
In addition, realized FDI capital reached $20.25 billion, the highest in the period 2018 to 2023. This affirms foreign investors' confidence in Vietnam's economy and investment environment amid the current volatile global economic context.
Coming up next, Day of Phở, a day that helps spread Vietnamese culinary culture. And Ninh Bình aims to build Millennium Heritage Urban Area. You're watching VTV News. On Tuesday morning in Hậu Giang, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development launched a sustainable development project that will see 1 million hectares growing high-quality and low-emission rice as part of the Green Growth Initiative in the Mekong Delta. Deputy Prime Minister Trần Lưu Quang attended the ceremony. The project will be implemented across 12 provinces and cities in the Mekong Delta, except Bến Tre Province. In Phase 1, 2024 to 2025, localities will focus on consolidating the 180,000 hectares of the Vietnam Sustainable Agricultural Transformation Project. Phase 2, from 2026 to 2030, will expand the planting by 820,000 hectares. The general goal is to reduce the amount of rice seeds sown to 80 to 100 kilograms per hectare, reduce the amount of chemical fertilizers and pesticides by 20%, and reduce the amount of irrigation water by 20% compared to traditional farming. Each area applies at least one sustainable farming process. Now, the first white paper on social impact businesses was officially launched on December the 12th to support social impact businesses. The launching event, SIB Connect 2023, was jointly organized by the Ministry of Planning and Investment in collaboration with Global Affairs Canada and the United Nations Development Programme, or UNDP, in Vietnam.
This social impact enterprise provides vocational training for differently abled workers and designs graphics for international real estate companies. Due to the global economy's headwinds, the company has found itself in a difficult situation and is seeking more orders and customers.
During our transition as a social impact enterprise, we are in dire need of support from the government, non-governmental organizations, and international organizations.
A rough estimate shows that 27,000 social impact business organizations in Vietnam face critical challenges regarding profitability and genuine impacts on society. They are enterprises owned or managed by disadvantaged groups in Vietnam. The release of the 2023 White Paper on Social Impact Businesses in Vietnam is expected to provide an overview of social enterprise companies in Vietnam and their ongoing issues.
The SIB White Book that's being launched here today is a fantastic stepping stone in terms of the evolution of SIBs in Vietnam. What it means is it's creating a common foundation of understanding what are SIBs.
The support project for social impact organizations with a grant of $3 million has supported more than 300 businesses and created jobs for over 6,000 workers, especially women and ethnic people.
Along with the launch of the White Paper, stakeholders will gather at the SIB Connect 2023 for in-depth dialogue sessions, cooperation opportunities, and market expansion.
December the 12th was chosen as Phie Day back in 2017, becoming an important culinary cultural promotion activity contributing to elevating Vietnamese cuisine and spreading traditional Vietnamese pho to the world. For those who don't know what pho is, you can watch in the following story.
The broth is delicious. The noodles are soft and chewy, mixed with the accompanying herbs. Those are the ingredients of a dish that entered the Oxford English Dictionary in September 2007, pho.
People consider a delicious bowl of pho that must have thinly sliced beef meat and clear broth. Later, chicken pho, goose pho, and duck pho with eggs were added. Vietnamese pho is now famous, becoming a Vietnamese dish known and accepted by the whole world.
Pho appeared in the early 20th century, experiencing ups and downs with Vietnamese people for more than a century. Over time, pho has become an ambassador, contributing to honoring Vietnamese culture.
And a lot of you suggested I go try the $100 bowl of pho. I am curious to see what actually goes inside a bowl of $100 pho. We're gonna go try it out.
With the $100 pho, we do something that's a really bit crazy. First, it's a bit of a shock to people. So we have probably the most expensive pho in the world right here in Saigon.
We have been using rice for thousands of years, and variations of rice have been changed and enhanced into very different dishes and products. We can see how today's rice grains developed.
Simple, elegant with a unique and attractive flavor, pho, a traditional Vietnamese dish, is praised and voted in the list of delicious dishes by major international newspapers and culinary websites such as CNN, Taste Atlas, and even Business Insider. Over the past 6 years, Pho Day has contributed to spreading the value of Vietnamese pho, as well as bringing Vietnam further on the map of world culinary.
Ninh Bình is the only locality in Vietnam and one of the few countries in the region that currently owns a dual World Heritage Trang An Scenic Landscape Complex World Cultural and Natural Heritage Site. Based on the cultural and historical values of this complex, Ninh Bình Province is mapping out a plan to build an ancient capital heritage urban area to create and promote the local brand.
Of the total area of 21,000 hectares of Ninh Bình urban area, the area of Trang An, the World Cultural and Natural Heritage, accounts for about 12,000 hectares. According to the plan of the province, after rearrangement of administration units at the district and commune levels, by 2025, the district of Hoa Lu will be merged into Ninh Bình City. The newly rearranged administration unit will be featured with urban of ancient capital heritage based on outstanding natural, historical, and cultural values of Trang An.
Building Ninh as an ancient capital heritage urban area is not an initiative, but a strategic vision to represent a millennium-long relationship between Ninh and Hanoi. We hope that in the next millennium, we will have a Ninh city of cultural and historical heritage.
To achieve this goal, it is necessary to have specific mechanisms and policies for the province to promote internal strength and mobilize resources.
Currently, at the national level, we have a cultural heritage fund. We strongly encourage Ninh to build such a fund. That will be a sustainable resource to support heritage conservation work of the province.
At the conference, experts and managers also provided arguments for building urban criteria and classifying specific urban areas, striving to build Ninh into a centrally run city by 2035, a typical millennium heritage urban area in the Asia-Pacific region.
Coming up next in our world news, COP28 hopes to reach consensus on future of fossil fuels. And IMF approves $900 million payout for Ukraine. The newly published draft agreement of the COP28 UN Climate Summit does not make a call for phasing out fossil fuels. The draft does not require action on fossil fuels, but only sets out measures that countries could take. According to the draft agreement, they can reduce both fossil fuel consumption and production in a reasonable, orderly, and equitable manner to achieve the goal of bringing net zero emissions by 2050. The COP28 president hopes to reach a historic consensus on the future of fossil fuels in the leaders' draft agreement. Russia will continue to enhance the combat readiness of its naval forces and will implement all the plans for the construction of submarines and surface ships, Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Monday. The Russian leader made the remarks during a flag-raising ceremony for two nuclear-powered submarines, the Emperor Alexander III and Krasnoyarsk, which will join the Russian Navy. Speaking at the ceremony, Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that the two new submarines aim to strengthen the defense capacity and combat readiness of the Russian Navy in important strategic areas in world's oceans. The two new submarines will soon carry out patrol missions in the Pacific region. The International Monetary Fund's Executive Board, IMF, on Monday approved a $900 million disbursement for Ukraine from its $15.6 billion loan program, hours before IMF chief Kristalina Georgieva met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The disbursement brings a total IMF funding for Ukraine this year to $4.5 billion. The managing director of the IMF said that the Ukrainian economy is showing resilience, but the outlook has significant risks stemming mainly from the impact of the conflict. Besides, Ukraine also has predictable sources of external financial support. Ukraine has received more than $68.5 billion in budgetary support since the war started, Finance Ministry data shows. But Ukrainian officials are growing worried about the certainty of financing, and some analysts predict Western aid could start diminishing next year. A robot that uses powerful magnets to perform less invasive and more efficient surgeries completed its first international procedure, a gallbladder removal, at a public hospital in Chile, according to the company that developed the technology. More to follow.
The Mars surgical platform at the Luis Tine Hospital in Santiago allows surgeons to attach a small magnet to organs, like the liver, and use robotic arms with high-powered magnets on the patient's belly to manipulate organs out of the way, according to La Vida Magnetics, the California-based startup that created Robot.
Our magnetic technology puts a surgical clamp inside the cavity and uses an external magnet that allows us to reduce the number of cuts to the patient. This is a great clinical benefit. It reduces the incision, the pain, and reduces time in rehab and scars.
The system also gives the surgeon control of the camera, which allows for better visualization. It is much more stable. And in surgery, seeing is everything.
This is our goal with technology, that the surgeon can perform surgeries on more patients per day. Our goal is to double the number of surgeries a single team can perform.
The platform was cleared by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration in September and conducted its first commercial surgery at the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio in October.
And up next is the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Remember to catch us again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.